Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to TEDxUPH 2026.
We are very delighted to have you here with us at TEDxUPH Journey.
Today's theme, Paradox, Searching for Meaning, invites us to explore one of the most timeless human questions. How do we find meaning in a world full of complexity, uncertainty, and contradiction?
Throughout the afternoon, we will hear stories, insights, and perspectives that challenge assumptions, spark curiosity, and perhaps inspire us to see meaning in unexpected places.
My name is Abraham Niels from Teachers College, class of 2024.
And my name is Joanna Nicole Michela from Communication Sciences, class of 2024. And we are honored to be your Masters of Ceremony for TEDxUPH 2026.
Before we begin, we kindly ask everyone to silence their mobile devices and settle in comfortably.
Before we officially begin today's TEDxUPH journey, we would like to take a moment to recognize and thank the organizations whose generous support has made this event possible.
We are incredibly grateful to our sponsors and partners for believing in the power of ideas and helping bring TEDxUPH 2026 to life.
A special thank you to PT Pilot Pen Marketing Indonesia,
Voir Beauty Bar,
Modeka Intellectual Property,
Simply,
PT Modiva International Deorex,
PT Populix Informasi Teknologi,
CV Bu Nusantara Indogarment Pandabu,
PT Sosial Bela Indonesia Karasun,
Sizzling Hotspot Shabu and Grill,
PT Senvienta Primatama,
and Floru Flores. Thank you for your support and for being part of TEDxUPH 2026.
Let's give all of our sponsors a warm round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is not only about listening to powerful ideas, but also about opening ourselves to new perspectives and meaningful conversations.
With that in mind, let us begin this program by calling Karin Josephine Mui as Vice President of TEDxUPH 2026 Committee to lead the opening prayer.
Thank you for the opportunity. Before we start this event, let us all begin with an opening prayer according to our respective beliefs. Let us pray. Amen.
Thank you for preparing your hearts with us.
To our dearest audience, every meaningful journey begins with a moment that brings us together.
To open today's experience, we invite you to enjoy a special performance prepared for TEDxUPH 2026.
Please join us in welcoming our performers with a warm round of applause.
There are times I find it hard to sleep at night. We are living through such troubled times. And every child that reaches out for someone to hold, for one moment they become my own. And how can I pretend that I don't know what's going on when every second and every minute another soul is gone. And I believe that in my life I will see an end to hopelessness or giving up or suffering. If we all stand together this one time, then no one will get left behind. Stand up for life. Stand up for life. I am inspired and hopeful every day. That's how I know that things are gonna change. So how can I pretend that I don't know what's going on when every second and every minute another soul is gone? And I believe that in my life I will see an end to hopelessness or giving up or suffering. If we all stand together this one time, then no one will get left behind. Stand up for life. Stand up for love. And it all starts right here. And it starts right now. One person stand up and the rest will follow. For all they've forgotten, for all they love, I'm gonna sing this song. And I believe that in my life I will see an end to hopelessness or giving up or suffering. If we all stand together this one time, then no one will get left behind. Stand up for life. Stand up and sing. Stand up for love, for love, for love. Yeah. 18, we were on the grass, stayed out late, never made it to class. Out of Richmond in a taxi cab, you were sweating bullets on the way to my dad's, and you say, baby, think we're moving too fast. And that's where the magnolias flash a smile. And that's when I caught it, hoping you'd stay a while, stay a while. Baby, I give up everything to travel at such a mile. Baby, I fall in love again come every summertime. My daddy told me to choose some nicely, you don't have to try. 'Cause baby, I fall in love every summertime. 25 and it just kinda hurt. Cried away home and he couldn't be first. Oh, yeah, we just always know what to say. We're strolling down the boulevard, standing under street lights. Every year we get older, and I'm still on your side. Oh, why? Maybe I'd give up everything to travel and search your mind. Baby, I'll fall in love again come every summertime. But Daddy told me to choose wisely, sure you don't have to try. 'Cause baby, I'll fall in love every summertime. Every day is summertime. Every day is summertime. Every day is summertime with you. Every day is summertime. Every day is summertime. Every day is summertime with you. Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing performance. Now, let us welcome Annabel Kesi Karabayana as the president of TEDxUPH 2026 committee to give her opening remarks. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Annabel Casey Karmayana. I'm from the External Relations Department of the Student Executive Board. And today, I also have the privilege of standing here as the president of TEDxUPH 2026. On behalf of the entire organizing committee, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you for choosing to spend your afternoon with us. Whether you're a student, a lecturer, a guest, or one of our speakers, your presence truly means a lot to us. Today, we are excited to hear from 3 incredible speakers, each bringing a unique perspective, a different story, and ideas that have the potential to stay with us long after this event ends. When I first started planning this year's TEDxUPH, one question kept coming back to me. What kind of conversation do people really need today? Well, we live in a world where we're constantly surrounded by choices. Every day, we're told to choose the right major, the right career, the right relationships, the right opportunities, and somehow we're also expected to have everything planned out. Ironically, the more possibilities we have, the more uncertain many of us become. Sometimes we spend so much time wondering whether we're making the right decision that we become afraid to make any decision at all. And maybe some of us have quietly asked ourselves questions like, am I on the right path? What if I choose wrong? What am I really searching for? Those questions became the inspiration behind this year's theme, Paradox Searching for Meaning. The paradox is that while we have more freedom than ever before, finding meaning doesn't necessarily become easier. Sometimes it becomes even more complicated. I believe this is something that resonates with many of us, especially as students who are still figuring out who we are and where we're going. The truth is, very few people have everything planned out. Many of us are simply trying to make sense of our own journeys, one step at a time. That is exactly why TEDx exists. Not because it gives us all the answers, but because it introduces us to ideas that challenge us, perspectives that broaden us, and stories that remind us that we're not alone in asking difficult questions. My hope is that by the end of today, you don't necessarily walk away with every answer you've been searching for. Instead, I hope you leave with a new perspective, a new question worth asking, or maybe even the courage to take the next step, even if you don't yet know exactly where it will lead. Before we begin, I would also like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to the incredible TEDxUPH committee. Behind every seat in this room, every detail you see, every conversation that happened leading up to today, and every moment of this event, there is a team that has spent months working tirelessly to make this vision become reality. To my committee, thank you for your dedication, your patience, your late nights, your resilience, and for believing in this event as much as I did. I would also like to thank our speakers for generously sharing not only their knowledge, but also their experiences and their stories with all of us today. And of course, thank you to every attendee for being here and for being willing to be part of this conversation. Because at the end of the day, TEDx is not just about the people on the stage. It's about every person in this room who is willing to listen, to reflect, and perhaps to leave just a little different from when they first walked in. I hope today's ideas inspire you, challenge you, and perhaps even help you discover a little more meaning in your own journey. Thank you, enjoy the event, and once again, welcome to TEDxUPH 2026.
Thank you very much for the thoughtful and encouraging opening remarks.
We are now entering our first session where we will explore how meaning can grow through impact and social innovation.
This next talk invites us to think about how ideas can move beyond intention and become real change.
In a world that often moves quickly, this talk reminds us that meaningful impact is not always loud, but it is always deliberate. Our next speaker is someone who believes that leadership begins with service and that meaningful impact starts by stepping beyond our own communities.
She is a recipient of both the Faculty of Communications Academic Scholarship and the Global Mobility Scholarship, and served as a part of the service learning community in UPH.
Driven by a heart for service, she also serves as the Hope Worldwide Tangerang Youth spokesperson and has participated in volunteer initiatives across Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Indonesia.
We are now pleased to welcome our first speaker, Jocelyn Winola Lie, as an UPH student from the Faculty of Social and Political Science, to share insights on finding meaning through impact and social innovation.
We invite everyone to listen closely, reflect deeply, and let the ideas settle in.
After the talk, we will return briefly to thank the speaker and guide the transition to the next segment.
Let us welcome our speaker, Jocelyn Winola Lie.
Imagine I was sitting, just like this. Sitting, but not in front of all of you. Sitting somewhere quite familiar. Sitting in a classroom. A classroom that perhaps we're probably quite familiar with, which is the classroom of our F building. Imagine if I was sitting, but not just sitting in a classroom, but sitting in a room full of people. But everyone is talking and laughing, and everyone is minding their own business and enjoying their time together, but I'm sitting alone. What would you do if you met me? That's the question, isn't it? We think that when we decide to be a good person, we should do good things. We make good choices. I want to be a good person. I'm gonna get lots of money and I'll be successful in my life. And I'll make myself happy and then I'll live a meaningful life. But I want to ask you guys, my generation, what makes you a meaningful person? You're probably wondering, I have no idea. I mean, we are a generation that is always constantly in our bubble, and we're constantly on our phones. And my generation constantly sees that as a good thing because we're constantly in our comfort zone. But what happens when we decide to choose to live a meaningful life? In Stuart Hall's encoding and decoding theory, it shows us that everything that is around us doesn't just happen. Stuart Hall teaches us that there is something called encoding and decoding. So when you encode a message, when you interpret something, it's not just what it is. It is a proper message that you need to figure out the meaning of it. So as you can see, this is Stuart Hall's design, but let's try to make it more towards me and what you were trying to answer. So the event. Winona is sitting alone in a room full of people. Okay. I mean, that's the example that I was putting before. And then next we have encoding, which is the cultural narrative. So if you are culturally in the zone, that means that, well, you think that it will be a meaningful way if you were sitting next to me, right? Sitting with me equals being a meaningful person. But when you go deeper, it goes that perhaps that if you decided to sit with me, that you would be a meaningful person, right? Perhaps being friends with me would make you a meaningful person. But decoding teaches us something different. Are you ready to hear that? It teaches you that you have the choice. You can either accept this meaning or redefine it. The receiver is you. You decide. The mindful choice, how I choose to decode this message, basically becomes my truth. So how do we apply this to our reality? Well, when I had the opportunity to serve in a variety of different platforms in my life, one event stood out the most. We see Gen Z, my generation, we are so caught up in our phones and our own world that we sometimes, we forget, and that's not human, but we do forget. And we're considered selfish in our own bubble, too independent, performative. And there's even research that states that participatory culture actually is a huge part of why Gen Z is not that authentic. Although, I disagree with that. I think we are very authentic. I think we just struggle to choose whether or not we want to do the right thing. So how do we apply this to our reality? Let's see next. So I had the opportunity to serve in one of our programs in our home university, our beloved program, Mari Membaca 8, or Let's Read 8. And I got the opportunity, as you can see, that's me with my red hair. I had the opportunity to increase the literacy in our home city, Banten, and we had a lot of events during that day. So one day, in a really hot summer day, a little girl was crying, eyes bawling. She was crying, she was shaking. And as so be it, everyone was busy doing their own thing. So they didn't notice that she was crying. I had to make a choice. I could ignore, like everyone else, ignore her, or I could approach her. In communication science, we are taught that not everything needs to be expressed. What I mean by that is that sometimes actions are much better than words, nonverbal communication. So, just like I did, I sat next to her, like this. I had my pen and my paper, I didn't really know what to say, so I just drew. I drew a cartoon character that I thought everyone liked, which is SpongeBob. She started laughing. As she laughed and laughed, her tears went away, and people started huddling up around her. Turns out, she had been bullied. During the same day we had our program, they had taken her hijab off, and she was crying because she had no one. She was the quiet kid that had no friends. That day, when I approached her just like this, and I communicated that we should draw, that was the day that she made friends. And the next day, we went there to the same school, and she was laughing with her new friends. So my question is, what would you do if you met her? I mean, it's obvious to admit if you want to say that you'll probably be too busy on your phone, or you're probably busy in the other scenarios with your friends, which is normal. I would do that. But what if you had a choice? What if you had the choice, or at least the awareness, to make a change? Gen Z, we're pretty performative. Not gonna lie, we're quite performative. It's a fact. And yes, we're stuck in our own little bubble. And this is not my own being, this is research. It shows that we are very individualistic. And we spend actually less time with friends and more in our own micro bubble. So, how do we combat this? How do we as Gen Z get out of our little bubble? Because the more we get in our little bubble, the more ignorant we become. How do we do that? So here's a little hint. This is what we explained before. So the whole encoding and decoding theory. This is my hint for you to answer that question. The mindful choice. How you choose to decode this message, this event, this scenario, determines if it becomes your truth. So, how would we, as a generation, combat this? How would we use this ultimate weapon? Well, mindfulness and empathy is the key. Mindfulness and empathy. Not mindfulness only, not empathy only. Mindfulness and empathy. Therefore, you need to choose. You need to choose. Research suggests that empathy is not a fixed emotion. You don't inherit it. It's not something that one experience will get you. It's not one magical few trips abroad would gain. It's a muscle that needs to be trained over and over again. And I know my generation, sometimes we forget how to do that because we want everything to be quickly. Sometimes I'm like that too. But when I realized that this was something that needed to be trained, needed to be mindful, I needed to choose my path, I chose it. This is the greatest joy of my life. Being a volunteer, but more importantly, being a servant leader. I've been through countless of different places in my life, and yet somehow it brought me to the same exact moment in my life, which is volunteering. Because volunteering did not just teach me empathy, it taught me perspective. Because perspective is something money cannot buy. And in a world where authenticity is bought, people pay for authenticity. A world filled with perspective, mindfulness, and empathy rules. You rock if you have it. So, Gen Z, my question for you is, what makes you a meaningful person? You can choose. You can choose in a world where there's so many distractions, where you're stuck scrolling, following the same trends, algorithm, and yet the world is moving around you. The world is bigger than your phone. Sometimes I need that. So while we're here, while we're privileged enough to be here on this earth, why not make the most of it? When you choose to be a meaningful person, you allow yourself the mindfulness to get out of your own head, to get out of your room, to get out of that dang phone. When you choose to be a meaningful person, you allow yourself the empathy to stop living for yourself. But not in the way that you think. In a way that when you start to live, you learn. But not just learn academics, not just study, but empathy. Through creating a meaningful life. Because you want to know, love, and serve people in need, not perform. So, I hope you can answer this question now. Will you choose and allow yourself the choice to live meaningfully in a world where authenticity is bought? That's all for me. Thank you for listening. I'm yours truly, Winona.
Thank you very much for the wonderful talk.
Please stay with us as we prepare a short moment of appreciation and documentation.
We would like to express our sincerest appreciation to our first speaker for sharing such a meaningful perspective.
As a small token of gratitude, we would like to invite Kak Rina Selvina as the treasurer of TEDxUPH 2026 to give an appreciation.
Thank you very much. Let's give our speaker another big round of applause.
We really do hope that everyone is leaving this session with fresh insight into the connection between action, service, and purpose.
Your perspective has given us much to reflect on.
Ladies and gentlemen, now we will have a toilet break for 3 minutes.
Please feel free to use the restroom if needed. We will be back here in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated as we will now proceed with the next session. We will now move into our second session, so please prepare for another engaging perspective on stage.
Every day, we are faced with countless possibilities.
Yet paradoxically, having more choices does not always bring greater clarity.
This next session explores how the decisions we make shape our sense of purpose and influence the meaning we create in our lives.
Our next speaker believes that a meaningful career is about more than professional success. It is about discovering purpose, embracing growth, and creating lasting impact.
He is a lecturer at the Faculty of Business, Universitas Pelita Harapan, as well as a leadership and human capital practitioner with extensive experience in education and executive search. Throughout his career, he has been passionate about helping individuals navigate career decisions, personal development, and the pursuit of purpose.
Beyond academic and professional practice, he is also dedicated in building impactful social businesses that create positive change in the community.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Albert Surya Wanasida, SAMM.
Why do we feel lost in the world that so many choices? Actually, we can see the answers in this coming up. This is we call the paradox of choice. What is the paradox of choice? Actually, the more excessive choices we have, the more we're anxious, the more we overwhelm and reduces our satisfactions. It's weird that we call the paradox of choice. The key main idea say that more choices do not automatically create better lives. They increase the need for clarity of purpose. We assume more choices, more freedom. More choices, we can live better life. That's our assumption. It sounds logical. But in reality, sometimes it's totally different. I want to start with my personal experience. But before that, we call it in Gen Z, we call overthinking. So many people nowadays, they are so busy in their mind, but they're blurry in the directions. We call it rumination in psychology. They are overthinking, cycle of negative thinking. They keep busy their mind. What if I'm fail? What if I'm not better enough? What if the best is not yet come? What if and what if and what if is a cycle of negative thinking. Gen Z, young generations, is good generations, but simply they overwhelmed with so many choices nowadays. Choices abundantly. They can choose what to wear, what to eat. They can choose what the study they want, what the future may be behind. They can choose many things. But the paradox is in it. The more choices, the more anxiety comes. The more choices, the more overwhelm. The more choices reduces satisfactions. This is aligned with what's said in the American Psychological. It's aligned with what we call it in the psychological paradox of choice. And now I want to share my personal insight. For my experience, I learned like this. Many people said, hang your dream as high as the sky. But in my opinion, Don't hang your future, don't hang your dream as high as the sky. Do not. But hang them as high as God wants them to be. Means you can still have a big dream. You can still have ambition. It is good to have ambitions, but you need alignment. For me, ambition needed alignment. My story evidence talk to me, and I want to share with you. I graduated earlier than my fellows in my accounting degree, one bachelor degree. I have a cum laude, graduated. In reality, seems so bright. I can work well, and so on and so forth, but the reality is not like that. The reality, I send my application, one company, two company, until 100 of company, and thanks God for 100 company welcome me to do the test, to interview, but I was failed for 100 times. No one door open to me. Not single door open for me. What feel like rejection? What feel like rejection was preparation. That works for me. When closed door create clarity. Actually, when we think open doors is success, closed door is a failure. It's logical, right? Many things like that. Open doors means success. Closed door means you fail. But for me, sometimes the door we want is not the path we need. We need redirection. A closed door may not be rejection. It may be redirection. I quote a quote that good for me, and this is aligned with my personal experience. I don't know the future may hold, but I know who holds my future. Like similar with what Steve Jobs said, meaning hinder in hindsight. You can now look back, and looking back, you know exactly what the past learned for us. You can connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them by looking backward. When you pause, when you reflect, you can linking your life and see the whole picture. Sometimes bad moments, sometimes frustrations redirect you to a better path, to better life. But when it happens, it's not easy. When it happened, it helped me to think more and more again. But before I close, actually, when the meaning hinder in hindsight, I learned something. After I fail again, I fail again, I fail again, I fail for 100 times. And after 9 months, waiting, after I graduated from bachelor degree, I go to master degree in human resources. When I go in human resources, I remember before graduated even, I sent my application in the morning, In the same day, in the afternoon, the company called me. And the next day, I interviewed. And I go to the manufacturing that have 11,000 employees. And that's my history. I become organization development specialist in that day. One shot and succeed. Failure is redirection. Failure is redirection for my life. Really, I don't know the future, but I know who holds my future. And for every student, you do not need to choose everything. You do not need to impress everyone. Choose what aligns with your values. Choose what matters for you. Choose what a service serves a meaningful contribution for your life. I believe for my personal life is only once. So make it meaningful. And in the food station time, I remember one ancient proverb said, acknowledge God and He will direct my path. Thank you. Surya, Wanasida, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Albert, for that very insightful sharing. On behalf of TEDxUPH 2026, we would like to thank our second speaker for that valuable and reflective talk.
We'd like to invite Kak Kerin as the Vice President of TEDxUPH 2026 to give an appreciation.
Please remain in place for a brief documentation moment.
One more time, let's give a big round of applause for Dr. Albert. Thank you very much, Dr. Albert. The ideas you have raised are both timely and deeply relevant to the way we navigate everyday decisions. Before we continue with our next inspiring session, we'd like to take a moment to once again express our appreciation to the partners and sponsors who have supported TEDxUPH 2026.
Their support has helped make today's conversations, experiences, and opportunities for connection possible.
A special thank you to PT Pilot Pen Marketing Indonesia,
Voir Beauty Bar,
Modeka Intellectual Property,
Simply,
PT Modiva International Deorex,
PT Populix Informasi Teknologi,
CV Bu Nusantara Indo Garment Pandabu,
PT Sosial Bela Indonesia Karasun,
Sizzling Hotspot Shabu and Kiehl,
PT Senvienta Primatama,
and Floru Flores. Thank you for being part of the TEDxUPH 2026 journey and for supporting ideas worth spreading.
Once again, let us give all of our sponsors a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, technology has transformed the way we connect, communicate, and understand ourselves.
Yet as our digital world expands, questions about identity, belonging, and meaning become more important than ever.
This session invites us to reflect on how technology shapes not only what we do, but who we become. Our next speaker is an actress, entrepreneur, and social activist whose impact extends far beyond the entertainment industry.
A cum laude graduate of Columbia University with double degrees in psychology and German literature. She has built a network of creative companies dedicated to empowering Indonesia's younger generation through meaningful media and innovation.
As the national ambassador of UNICEF Indonesia and a longtime advocate for education, gender equality, and child protection, she continues to inspire positive change through both her public service and philanthropic work.
Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Miss Cinta Laura Kiehl.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just waiting for my PowerPoint to show up. Oh, there it is. How's everyone doing? Good? Okay, I hope you'll do better after listening to my TED Talk. So I'm going to get started. A question I get frequently asked is, ooh, and the clicker doesn't work. There you go. A question I get frequently asked is, Cinta, how are you so confident? And that question, honestly, often makes me feel uncomfortable. Truth is, we often confuse confidence with certainty. For the longest time, I attributed success to winning awards, working internationally, and always chasing after the next milestone. Because succeeding, achieving in and of itself never felt enough. Looking back, I can pinpoint when my anxiety began to snowball. It was triggered by something deceptively small that gradually eroded my ability to be present, to think clearly, and decide what truly deserved my attention. Anxiety didn't arrive all at once. It accumulated in the spaces where silence, reflection, and self-direction once existed. So, if a successful career, financial stability, good health, and a life that seems put together can't bring about peace, are we destined to live in a constant state of worry and dissatisfaction? And if consistent achievement doesn't guarantee certainty, how do we know when it's enough? More importantly, how do we know we're making the right choices? Do you know that feeling when you wake up in the morning, eyes half open, and before you've even taken a breath, your hand is already reaching for your phone? You choose your favorite app, you start scrolling, and you see whose body looks incredible this summer, who just landed the internship you've been working so hard toward for months. And just like that, without meaning to or consciously choosing to, you've handed over the first moments of your day to someone else's highlight reel. You haven't even fully awakened, and you already feel behind. The world has already decided what you should be thinking. This is the quiet violence of modern life. Technology has made everything more connected, convenient, and accessible, yet somehow, many of us feel lonelier, emptier, and more uncertain of what we're doing, where we're going, and who we are. Today, we're no longer limited by what we can see. We feel overwhelmed by it. We have more freedom than any generation before us, more information, more ways to build a life, express ourselves, define who we are. On paper, this should make us feel happier. But instead, we're not asking ourselves, what can I become? We're fixated on a completely different question. Who am I supposed to be? And that's the paradox. How can more freedom make us feel so trapped? Let me introduce to you Bob. Born in the 1950s, he went to school, chose a profession, worked hard, climbed up the corporate ladder, and eventually became general manager at a five-star hotel. His identity was shaped by his parents, his community, his industry, and the place he grew up. Now meet Nathan. Born in the 2000s, and by the time he entered university, he had already been exposed to thousands of different lives through the internet. By his second year, he wasn't sure whether he had chosen the right major, whether he had chosen the right career path, and whether his definition of success was the correct one. Today, he lies awake, terrified of choosing the wrong path. Bob had fewer choices, but more certainty. Nathan had endless choices, but no compass. What's important to understand is that technology didn't create this. Technology amplified it. Every time Nathan opens his phone, he's presented with thousands of options of a life he could have. A startup founder in Singapore, a content creator in Bali, a director in Seoul, a humanitarian in East Africa, an investment banker in New York. Each one curated, confident, and seemingly already living the life Nathan has not figured out yet. Now, I can already feel you thinking, Cinta, are you saying we should live like Bob? Pick a lane, put our phones down, and just commit? Not necessarily, because we don't know whether Bob was happier. But with fewer options came fewer doubts. Instead of constantly questioning his choices, he devoted his energy to committing to them. And that's the distinction I'm pointing to: the courage to choose a direction and the discipline to stick with it. Dr. Tony Fernando, a clinical psychiatrist and ordained Buddhist monk, argues, it's actually Buddha's argument, but he argues that one of the greatest sources of human suffering is the tendency to cling on to ideas, identities we haven't truly chosen or fully figured out yet. We're so focused on becoming the person we think the world wants us to be that sometimes we forget to stop and ask ourselves who we want to be. Imagine you're in your final year of university and everybody keeps asking the same question. So, what's next? You sit down, you do research, you create a list of pros and cons, and you think you're being responsible. But often, what looks like preparation is actually avoidance. Because beneath all the thinking is a fear of choosing. We keep the options open. We tell ourselves we're still deciding because committing to a direction, a person, a version of ourselves means letting go of something else. And in a world where every option appears to be equally beautiful, valid, and possible, choosing seems terrifying. What we often forget is the very thing we're turning to for answers is also making it harder to find them. Technology is an incredible servant, but a terrible master. And I think deep inside we all know what that means. Who is shaping whom? Every piece of technology we create eventually begins to shape the people who use it. But we have to make the conscious choice to decide what we consume, what we pay attention to, and what we compare ourselves against. Because if we don't, these choices will slowly be made for us. And over time, the greatest thing we will lose is authorship over our own identity. There's no denying that technology has given me incredible opportunities. It's ample to be seen. And slowly, without realizing it, I had built a life that looked impressive on the outside, but was completely empty on the inside. The clearest moment I can point to happened the night after one of the biggest milestones of my career. I had just walked an international runway alongside global names. The headlines were everywhere. But that night, when I came back to my hotel room, I was all alone. No calls, no congratulatory messages. I'd spent years making myself so unavailable that my parents, my family, my closest friends quietly faded into the background. I thought I was living a life with purpose, but I confused purpose with ambition and conviction with validation. In reality, I was chasing a version of success that needed constant applause to feel real. I had reached one of the biggest moments of my career, and yet I had absolutely no one to celebrate it with. There came a point in my life where I actually started to not enjoy it. I thought I was working towards a life that I wanted, but I had never felt more disconnected. And as cliche as this sounds, I ended up signing up for a meditation retreat in northern Thailand. Despite this being very cliche, it gave me the experience that I hadn't experienced in a very long time: silence. And in that silence, I was forced to sit with myself. And for the first time in a long time, I was able to hear my own thoughts instead of everybody else's opinions. And when I was finally able to hear myself, the right question began to emerge. What gives life meaning? I began to remember who I was before comparison became my compass. The athlete who chose to wake up before sunrise to train. The student who chose to balance school with a full-time career. The actress who chose to keep going despite hearing more no's than she could count. The moments that shaped me weren't the ones where I achieved the most, where I chose to deeply commit to something that mattered. More importantly, something that mattered to me. This is what growth mindset actually looks like. Not denying that fear exists, not denying that failing doesn't hurt, but understanding what choice is asking us to become. Because we're not shaped by perfect choices. We're shaped by committing fully and allowing those choices to mold us. Because even the best stories are full of conflict. That's what gives them meaning. Why should our lives be any different? If there's something I hope to bring back into our lives, it's not another productivity hack, it's not another morning routine. Believe it or not, it's boredom. Technology's engineered boredom out of existence, and I don't think we're fully aware of what we had lost. Think about the last time you sat on your own doing absolutely nothing, not even meditating, not being mindful, nothing. I think most of us probably can't remember. So, interestingly, anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer communities found that our ancestors worked far less than we had imagined, leaving long stretches of unstructured time. And those hours weren't wasted, by the way. They were used to make tools, to make art, to tell stories, strengthen relationships, solve problems. In other words, some of humanity's greatest innovations weren't born out of constant busyness, but the space to think. And modern neuroscience supports this, by the way. When the brain isn't constantly consuming new information, it enters a state that supports creativity, memory, reflection, and connecting ideas. Yet today, we've become so uncomfortable with stillness that we associate constant stimulation with productivity and distraction with rest. Maybe that's why we know so much about other people's lives, yet struggle to hear ourselves. And this is the reason why I now ask these 3 questions before making any major decisions. What would I pursue if nobody could see it? No applause, no validation, nothing. Just pure interest and conviction. What am I willing to be bad at for a very long time? Because as we all know, good things take time. Most people underestimate what consistent commitment can build and quit before mastery begins. Those who don't quit, we oftentimes call successful. And lastly, who else benefits if I become the best version of myself? This is the question that changes everything. Because when your goal is only about you, it will eventually feel hollow. Trust me, I've lived it. Ego isolates. Purpose connects. When you're driven by ego, people become your audience, your source of validation, your competition. But when you're driven by purpose, people can become your family, your friends, your collaborators, your community. The journey no longer feels like something you have to carry on your own. The more your purpose serves others, the more others are willing to help you build it. And at that point, purpose no longer becomes something you chase, but something you share. So, is technology the culprit? I believe that technology isn't the problem. Unfortunately, most of us are. We handed it the responsibility of telling us who to become instead of deciding that for ourselves. And don't get me wrong, I still have days when I open my computer, look at my phone, and I feel that same pull of having to compare or question my decisions. But now I actively choose to make technology a tool to help me create, share, advocate, connect. It's a place to show the world who I am, what I think, and what I value. Think about it this way. A train doesn't stop in its track and ask another train why it's reached its destination first. It doesn't look sideways at a different route and feel ashamed of its own. It simply moves with its own stops, its own speed, its own lane, its own destination that no other train can reach for it. That's what commitment feels like when you fully surrender. Just movement forward on your own track. So, if there's anything I'd like you to take away from today's TED Talk is that purpose isn't found, it's built. One decision, one responsibility, and one commitment at a time. But before you can build a meaningful life, you need to make the choice to give space, to listen to the person building it. Because technology, AI, may shape the future, but self-awareness will determine yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the compelling talk.
Miss Cinta, please kindly stay with us for the appreciation and documentation session.
We would like to invite Annabel Kesi Karamayana as the president of TEDxUPH 2026 to give an appreciation to the speaker.
Miss Cinta, would you please kindly remain in place? One more time, everyone, let's give a big round of applause to all our speakers.
At this moment, we invite everyone to remain for documentation.
First, we would like to invite Dr. Albert and also Jocelyn Winola Lie to come up on stage and join us.
We would like to invite the documentation team to help us with taking the documentation. And also, we would like to present these beautiful flowers courtesy of our sponsor, Floru Flores. Speakers, please look at the camera and give us your best smile. All right. Thank.
One more time, let's give a big round of applause.
All right. Thank you so much to our dear speakers. You may please be seated to take photos with the participants from your seats.
To all our audiences, please stand up as we will take the documentation session with our speakers. You may please stand up, and those of you who sit on the left and also right wing, you may gather with the audiences in the middle of the seat. Once again, To those of you who sits at the left and right wing, you may please gather to the middle side and we will gonna take pictures with our speakers. Alright, to all the committees and also audiences in the left and right wing, you may please gather at the back part of the middle seat. Okay, is everyone ready? Let's take the picture together. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more time, 1, 2, 3. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you everyone. You may please be seated.
Thank you for your patience and cooperation.
We will continue shortly with the next segment of the event.
While the talks may be ending, the conversation is only beginning.
Many of the most meaningful ideas emerge not only from the stage, but also from the conversations we share afterward.
We will now move on to our networking session, where you will have the opportunity to connect with fellow participants, speakers, and members of our community.
We encourage you to take this opportunity to exchange ideas, build new connections, and continue reflecting on today's conversations.
Throughout the day, we have listened to inspiring speakers, explored new perspectives, and engaged with powerful ideas. But as we all may know, the conversation does not end when the speaker leaves the stage. In many ways, this next session is where those ideas begin to take on a life of their own.
That is right, Niels, because some of the most meaningful discussions do not happen under the spotlight. They might happen around you and in moments where people from different backgrounds come together to exchange thoughts and experiences.
So enjoy the vibes and the people around you. Introduce yourself to someone you have never met before. Ask them what brought them to TEDxUPH. Ask them which speaker resonated with them the most today. You might discover a perspective you have never considered before.
And who knows, the person sitting next to you could become your future collaborator, mentor, business partner, research partner, or simply someone who inspires you to think differently.
TEDx is built on the idea of connecting people through ideas, and this is your chance to make those connections happen.
If you are not sure on how to start a conversation, here are a few easy questions. Which talk impacted you the most today? What idea are you taking home from TEDx? Or perhaps the simplest question of all, what inspired you to be here today? Sometimes that is all it takes to begin a meaningful conversation.
And while you are connecting with one another, we would also love for you to take some time to explore the booths and experiences around the venue. Many of our partners have prepared interactive activities and experiences just for you. So please feel free to visit them throughout the evening.
Speaking of our partners, tonight's TEDx experience would not have been possible without the incredible support of our sponsors and collaborators. We would like to take a moment to express our heartfelt appreciation to them. A special thank you to PT Pilot Pen Marketing Indonesia,
Vor Beauty Bar,
Modeka Intellectual Property,
Simply,
PT Modiva International Deorex,
PT Populix Informasi Teknologi,
CV Bu Nusantara Indogarment Pandabu,
PT Social Bela Indonesia Karasun,
Sizzling Hotspot Shabu and Grill,
PT Senvienta Primatama,
and Floru Flores. Thank you to all supporting partners who have contributed in making TEDxUPH 2026 possible.
Thank you, everyone. Over the next 30 minutes, feel free to talk to other participants, speakers, or visit booths from our sponsors in D502. And if you may want to take pictures with our dear speakers, please do it in an orderly fashion.
Please note that in 30 minutes, we will gather again in D502 for the after talk and dinner.
Enjoy the conversations and enjoy the evening ahead.
For those of you who wants to take pictures with the speakers, you may please line up orderly. Once again, for those of you who wants to take pictures with the speakers, please line up properly and follow the instructions given by our ushers.
A kind reminder to everyone, please remain in an orderly fashion when taking pictures. Thank you. We would like to remind you as well, this is the networking session. So after the photos, you can continue on networking with other people you have not met before or probably your friends. Thank you.
Once again, if you are finished with taking pictures, you may please gather up in groups to discuss together with other audiences. Thank you.
I'm turning the pages of all I've ever known. We're destined for greatness. All the places we could go. I see it in your eyes. Now we're here.
Kindly reminder to all participants that after this networking and photo session, please do not go home or leave the area first. Because after this, we will have other activities that we will do in today's TEDxUPH 2026. So please do not leave the area first. Thank you.